The other moment I wanted to take a look at from this Fox News Brett Baer interview with Donald Trump, round two, part two of this, was a question about the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and watching Trump interact with this and try to contend with the fact that a lot of his followers have all these conspiracy theories about the vaccine, but he's someone who always wants to take credit for anything that he can take credit for. And because the vaccine was something that got developed, the COVID-19 vaccine specifically, while he was president, he wants to be able to take credit for that and also doesn't want to make his followers mad. And he has such a hard time with that. And you'll notice him in this clip dealing with that in real time. We'll watch it and then discuss.
Thing on COVID. In your mind, did the COVID vaccine work?
It's such an interesting question, because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world, we did a tremendous job on that. But we had a vaccine. Now you have different COVIDs. You had COVID-19 and then you have different COVIDs, but we had original was COVID-19, which was the roughest one. So I have a Democrat friend who's very smart. Hopefully he votes for me, but he's very smart. He said, I don't understand one thing about you. I watch your rallies. They're incredible. You talk about beating ISIS. You talk about taxes. You talk about regulation. You talk about everything. But you never said that. I've never heard you talk about how the incredible job you did with the vaccines, because as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay? And you know who doesn't like me?
So I don't think I have to tell you, it wouldn't have taken 10 to 12 years without Trump. He pretends he was in the lab figuring it out. But I do think for all the damage that Trump did, at least he didn't mess up the development of the COVID vaccine.
Too much the FDA, because they were very bureaucratic, and I got it done. And he said, you may have saved in the world, throughout the world, 100 million people, and you never talk about it. I said, I really don't want to talk about it, because as a Republican, it's not a great thing to talk about, because for some reason, it's just not.
For some reason?
Yeah, for some reason, because people love the vaccines and people hate the vaccines, but conservatives aren't. And I understand both sides of it, by the way. I understand both sides very well. What I didn't do is the mandates. The mandates and the vaccine. You had these governors mandating. Well, you did
with
and
the
by
Defense
the way,
Department.
Ron DeSantis.
The Pentagon did.
Ron DeSantis.
And everything comes back to Ron DeSantis. So this is, we talked about with this last Fox News clip from this same interview, how everything about Trump's life is for the stroking of his ego and for applause lines. And so here, in living a life that is centered around that, he's trained himself to absolutely often take even more credit than he possibly could reasonably for absolutely anything possible. But then that now is running up against his ambition to please his movement and keep them cheering for him. And so then he goes, I developed it, and people say, I'm getting a hair in my eye, people say that it saved hundreds of millions of lives because of me. And also I understand why my movement doesn't like it, but it's good, but they think it's bad. And I get that they think it's bad, and I understand that it's bad, but it's good. And I've never understood this about the MAGA movement. I've tried to ask people at these rallies that I go to, if you believe these conspiracy theories about the vaccine, it's a plot to put a microchip in you or whatever. Why is it that as you watch Trump, and he's softened up, he stopped recently because of the booing and stuff at rallies, but he has taken credit for multiple times the development. So why do you not think that's Trump's conspiracy then? If he multiple times has even taken too much credit for the vaccine, why is it that you don't think he's a part of the conspiracy theory? And there's always some bizarre answer of, well, no, he trusted people and they were lying to him and this, that, and the other thing. But it is one of the rare issues where Trump's movement, and we correctly identify the hardcore MAGA supporters as cultists, where almost everything they're fully in line with Trump on. He can say all of a sudden, grass is purple, boom, grass is purple. Except on this, even when he tried to say, hey, the vaccine though, kind of good, huh? They rejected it. And you probably remember pretty infamous moments where he gets booed at rallies over this issue, and that's why he stopped talking about it. And the movement rejected his line on it, which is very strange for this cult-like movement. And then the other interesting thing that will be fascinating and terrifying to watch in this GOP primary field is the fact that DeSantis is using this issue to attack Trump. So then Trump is going to try to run away from this issue and make the whole movement likely even more detached from reality on the subject of the medical community and the science on vaccines. And so DeSantis has been saying Trump was too in line with Dr. Fauci, which, if you were around during that time, is wild for someone to believe, but genuinely DeSantis is constantly saying Trump was too pro-Fauci, too pro-vaccine, too pro-mandate. So then Trump likely will have to argue, no, I'm not. No, I was so irresponsible. I promise I did not handle anything correctly or in line with the medical community. And that will be the argument. And that's a very sad, dangerous, and concerning reflection on the modern state of the Republican Party. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with much more after this.
One of our sponsors today is Wild Health, founded by two emergency room physicians. Wild Health takes your genetics and your biometrics and your lifestyle data to really tailor suggestions to your exact needs in terms of nutrition and exercise and sleep and supplements and all of those things. And the whole idea is just for you to function at your best. It's really it's a simple goal, but it's a complex goal to achieve. You might have a specific health goal. You want to sleep better. You want to lose weight. You want to stay healthy and just feel good. Wild Health will tailor a care plan with lifestyle interventions instead of medications, which I prefer as an approach. Wild Health will pair you with a care team that includes a board-certified precision medicine physician and accredited health coach who can receive messages from you anytime through the app. It's fully virtual telemedicine. And if you're really trying to reach your top physical and mental condition, try Wild Health's premium program at wildhealth.com/premium, which includes the white glove concierge service, unlimited visits, even higher touch care. These results are really compelling. Patients have seen improvements to diabetic markers, reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, reduction in inflammation, and more. Go to wildhealth.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for 20% off. The link is down below.